Welcome to the last video of the series. Today, we will finally make our very own RC plane. Oh, I'm so excited. Get ready to learn how to make a basic 3-channel RC plane by the help of this step-by-step build video. We will use various techniques from FliteTest such as the A-fold and the B-fold to assist with the build process. So, let's begin. I start off by scratch building the body, or known as the fuselage of the aircraft. You can find the measurements in a planner, which you'll find in the description box. Do keep plenty of sharp new knives because you want a smooth finishing. You next want to cut out the template. Next, trace that design on another piece of foam so you have 2 duplicate pieces. Next, prepare the base, which is a rectangular piece of styrofoam. I'm going to curve cut the nose portion of it so that it looks aesthetic, but also it can help the airplane to glide past the air a lot better. Now gently curve the nose area of the fuselage. This will allow you to get a beautiful curvature. Remember to do it for both the side plates as well as the base. We're now going to perform a B-fold, which means the side plates of the fuselage are going to stick right beside the base rather than on top. You can use a 90-degree triangle to ensure that the fuselage plates are nice and straight. At this part of the fuselage, you want to perform a straight line using a barbecue skewer or a similar material. You want to use this material because you only want to perform a crease. You don't want to cut out the other side of the foam. Using that crease line, make another crease on the base so that that portion of the base can lift up and really make the fuselage look aesthetic. Once your crease lines are set, you want to perform another B-fold at the back of the fuselage. So remember that B-fold refers to the side plates sticking next to the base, not on top. I had a bit of misalignment with the measurements, and as you can see, I had to deal with some extra bit of material. This is completely fine, especially if you're doing a scratch build or if you're doing it the first time. I next apply hot glue inside the fuselage, and using a scrap piece of foam, I use that to scrape off the excess. You want to do this all throughout the fuselage because you want your model to be nice and firm, right? I now proceed to make the horizontal and vertical stabilizers. Once again, the planner is provided in the description box, so be sure to check it out.
You're the night sky, I'm trying to see your stars. But I won't makes no sound. I'll find valid in your eyes. You'll always be my night sky.
Using your knife, very slightly cut through the elevator. You don't want it running through the other side of the foam. The lamination on the foam creates a very beautiful hinge. But we can make this hinge even more stronger by using a layer of tape. We're now going to perform a bevel cut. This is where you fold your elevator across the other side of the horizontal stabilizer, and using your knife, you want to cut through the foam at a 45-degree angle. Alternatively, you can use a sandpaper to entirely do this step because this is not so easy. To make our hinge very strong, we will now apply a thin layer of hot glue and scrape it off using our scrap piece of foam. We will apply this very same technique on the rudder as well. While cutting a bevel, if you accidentally cut out the other side of the foam, don't hesitate. You can put another layer of tape and it'll be as good as new. Now you can attach your horizontal stabilizer to the vertical stabilizer. It is important that you use your 90-degree triangle to ensure that it's nice and perpendicular. I'm going to roughly measure the top layer of the fuselage. I did not provide any measurement for this because it's gonna be a bit different on your end because your fuselage is gonna be slightly different than mine. When you're performing manual inspection on this type of pieces, you can get an ideal fit, which is important. Note that this layer of the fuselage is also a B-fold. Now cut out thin strips of foam from the top as well as the sides to make some room for the horizontal and vertical stabilizers to slide inside the fuselage.
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep. I love everything.
Align the tail really well with the fuselage and apply hot glue to stick them really well to each other.
It's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush.
I'll be using the Power Pod from FliteTest. You can find the printable file in the description box.
Take my eyes open to force reality. Why can't you just let me eat my weight in glee? kids screaming in their cradles, profanities. Some days I feel skinnier than all the other days. Sometimes I can't tell if my body belongs to me. I love everything. Fire spreading on.
Now, the styrofoam that FliteTest uses have a paper lamination, but in my case, I don't have a paper lamination on the styrofoam. Therefore, I'm going to cut out the red portions from the Power Pod so that I can stick all these pieces separately. Unlike the fuselage, we will now perform an A-fold on the Power Pod side plates. So therefore, these side plates are going to stick above the base, not beside.
Feel the tension, devils hide behind redemption. Honesty is a one-way gate to hell. I wanna taste consumption, breathe faster to waste oxygen. Hear the children sing aloud. It's music till the wick burns out. Just wanna be carefree lately, yeah. Just kicking.
I'm going to be using a 2mm to 4mm piece of plywood. You can use your saw or an X-Acto knife to cut out the motor mount. The template for the motor mount is included along with the Power Pod. You can make that square shape and you can use your drill machine to make the holes. You can manually do this step, or you can also have a laser cut kit just like mine right here. You see the shaft on the motor? You need that shaft to be running smoothly and freely, so therefore you want to have enough room in the middle section of the Power Pod so that the shaft spins freely. You can now use your hot glue to stick the motor mount on top of the Power Pod. Be very sure to ensure that the motor mount is nice and perpendicular to the base of the Power Pod. You don't want to have an up or down thrust angle. I highly recommend using a couple layers of tape, packaging tape, to wrap it around the Power Pod along with the motor mount. This will prevent the motor mount from coming out when the motor spins really fast when it's high up in the air. This tape will provide a high amount of rigidity to the Power Pod, so don't neglect this step. Now open up these spaces for the screws, the shaft, as well as the wires of the motor. We will now measure and cut out a small rectangle underneath the fuselage. This will allow the air to run past through. Now measure the length of the brushless motor. Say if it's 25 millimeters, you now want to create a reference line which is 25 millimeters away from the edge of the fuselage nose. This reference line on the fuselage needs to be nice and parallel with the nose because once again, you don't want to have an up or down thrust angle.
If I gave you a week, would you keep it in a bottle, lie in bed and pour a drink of me?
I'm now creating a reference line underneath the fuselage. This is where I'll be passing out a few popsicle sticks so that the Power Pod can rest on it and not fall down.
I get everyone around to say we're just messing around. Maybe I can love you, babe, but maybe I'm too
Once the power pod is nice and leveled with the fuselage on top of the popsicle sticks, you can now use your hot glue to stick those popsicle sticks to the fuselage so that they don't move around.
We were so close to everything we wanted, to everything we almost had. We were so close that I could almost feel the pain.
Cut out the remaining portions of the popsicle sticks that are sticking out.
Always something changing the way we go.
Oh, and do not throw these away.
Thinking that they should have a say, but they don't.
Let's now install the brushless motor on the power pod, so one after the other, pass the wires through the mount. After that, secure the motor on the power pod mount with the screws that are provided. Note, do not tighten one screw before installing the other screws.
That brave.
Now connect the 3 wires of your brushless motor to the 3 wires of your ESC. If you want to change the rotation of the motor, simply swap any 2 of the 3 wires. Now you can go ahead and run a piece of barbecue skewer on the fuselage through the power pod so that the barbecue skewer goes outside the other side of the fuselage. This is a critical step because you can now ensure that your power pod is not getting any sort of a thrust angle.
Here we go again. Trying hard, but you wanna be my friend. Ain't no place to hide, ain't no one to run to. Here we go again.
These barbecue sticks secure the place of the power pod inside the fuselage.
I'm the one you ride to. If you don't wanna change, ain't no place to hide, ain't no one to run to. If you don't wanna change, I can help you out. I can help you out.
You will notice that the power pod wiggles around inside the fuselage, and we want to close that gap, so we can cut out a few pieces of styrofoam and we can hot glue them in place so that the space is now occupied.
Here we go again. Time is up and I'm calling up my friends.
We will connect the ESC wire onto channel 3 of our receiver.
Call me up and you wanna be my friend. I'm the one you ride, I'm the one you
Moving on to the elevator, we will connect that to channel 2.
wanna change.
Now with the rudder, you can either connect that to channel 4 or channel 1. Since we do not have any aileron and this is a 3-channel plane, we can simply connect it to channel 1 of the receiver.
I can help you out. I can help you out.
We will now prepare some room for the servos to sit on the fuselage.
I can help you out. 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 Look, if you don't
Once you have the relief cuts, you can use just a bit of hot glue to secure them in place.
wanna run to, if you don't wanna change, I can help you out. 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 I can help you out.
If the control horns are off-centered, you can simply unscrew them and make them straight. Now the servos are going to control the control surfaces using this steel wire. You can use any sort of pushrod for this. Using your plier, you want to prepare a Z-bend just like this. This will easily allow you to insert and remove the wire from the control horn from your servo as well as the control surfaces. I'll be using the leftover popsicle sticks that I've cut off earlier. Now I'm just going to use my X-Acto knife to prepare a small hole for the wire to pass through. You can use any other apparatus to make the hole. Just like that, the rudder is all set. You want to apply the same technique on the elevator as well. Now let's try out the control surfaces. As you can see, the elevator is reversed. When we pull back the right stick, we want our plane to lift up, and it's not the case right here. So we have to reverse it. Simply on your radio transmitter, press and hold OK, then go to Setup, then go to Reverse, and onto Channel 2, just hit Up, and there you go, it's reversed. Let's check out the rudder. As we pull the stick to the right, the rudder goes to the right, so it's all working. And you want to press and hold Cancel to save all the changes. Let's now proceed to making the wings. And once again, you will find the measurements in the planner, which you'll find in the description box. The wing design only has straight lines, so you shouldn't have too much of a problem sketching it out. When you have one side of the wing ready, you can trace it on another sheet to prepare the second piece. These reference lines are for the dihedral folding. The idea is that we're gonna fold the wings, so right on the midsection, you wanna strike your knife very slightly so that it cracks open just like this. Apply a layer of tape on the other side of the crease. We will now perform a double bevel on this wing. Similar to our stabilizers, we're going to hold our knife 45-degree angle and we're gonna strike through the foam. Sandpaper helps you a lot to ensure you have a very nice smooth curve. Remember that As you're cutting the foam, you don't want to cut out the other side of the crease. You can use the back end of a screwdriver to fold the crease even more so that it makes the folding process a bit easier. We will now focus on making the airfoil shape. Run your X-Acto knife ever so slightly so that you can only create that little bend. You can also use your barbecue skewer to make that fold a bit more clean. These rectangular pieces are going to form the spar on the wing. Note that the strips are hot glued on top of the base and therefore it's an A-fold. You need to build the spar because it will add further rigidity to the wing and it will also keep the airfoil's shape. Apply a layer of tape to connect the wings. Next, we will make these reference lines on the flat surface of the wing, and we're going to connect the spar to it. To make the wing joint even stronger, you can apply some hot glue in the gap and then squeegee it off using a scrap piece of foam. Run your hot glue along the creases so that the wing can naturally hold its airfoil shape. To fold the wing, apply hot glue right on the double bevel, as well as on the spar. Before the hot glue dries, you want to ensure you apply even pressure on all surfaces of the wing. Therefore, it's helpful to have a little friend or a buddy to help you give that support. Once the glue is dried, you can now attach the two pieces together using hot glue. I'm gonna make the reference lines for the dihedral once again because I accidentally made those lines inside the wing instead. Quite simply, use your X-Acto knife to create a cavity so that the wing can successfully fold. You will find a dihedral gauge in the plan, so use that under the wing so you know how much you need to fold. Once you know how to do that, use your hot glue to form the dihedral. And there you go, the wing is complete. The under camber is gonna provide the slow flying characteristics. Use some scrap piece of foam to cover the open areas of the fuselage. Because every build is gonna be different in either way or the other, therefore I have not provided exact measurements for this step. As you can see, I came across with a lot of misalignments in the cutting. Well, it just happens quite a lot, and it's quite normal if you're doing scratch building, so you may also experience misalignments and don't worry too much about it. I'm gonna use a double-sided tape to stick the receiver on the power pod, but you can also use hot glue. You can use this space for the battery to move it back and forth so that your plane can be balanced. Run a few barbecue sticks on the fuselage nice and straight so that you can attach the wing using a few rubber bands. The popsicle sticks on the wing will prevent the rubber band from damaging the foam due to the high tension. Your plane is officially complete. If you want, you can make the landing gears. We're attaching these popsicle sticks to the fuselage for a reason. When the landing gear bumps hard on the floor, these popsicle sticks will take the hit and prevent the foam from damaging. If you don't have these wheels, you can make your own by cutting out circular pieces of styrofoam and sticking them together. I'm using a sturdy steel push rod for the landing gear. And for the final time I'm saying, you're gonna find these bending instructions in the plan. Bonus tip, use your table to make these very stiff bends.
You said I was the only one. No one likes being lied to. You made
Quite simply, I use my hot glue to prepare the stopper to prevent the wheel from advancing forward.
I wanna burn all the bridges between us. I can't focus. I can't forget. I've been thinking.
Just follow the next few steps on how I'm making the landing gear. So first of all, I create that little room for the landing gear wire to sit using my X-Acto knife.
I just need to clear
Next, I use a popsicle stick to keep the wire nice and firm. Now let's make the landing gear fairing. Upon manual inspection, you want to measure these out by yourself because it's going to depend on how much bending your landing gear has.
I can't forget. I've been thinking too much lately. I just need to clear my head. 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 I just need to. I just need to clear my head. I just need to. I just need to clear my head. I just need to. I just need to clear my head. I just need to. I just need to clear my head. I can't focus. I can't forget. I've been thinking too much lately.
To make the tail skid, I prepare a triangular piece of styrofoam and attach a little piece of barbecue stick to it.
I just need to clear my
Observe the rotation direction of your motor and then choose your propeller. When the propeller spins, you should feel wind thrusting back, in other words, the plane moving front. Congratulations! You just made your first ever RC plane. How do you feel about it? Let's take the plane outdoors and test her out. To balance the plane, place your fingers right under the spar of the wing. Readjust your battery's placement if needed.
Yeah.
Today was an extremely windy day, and therefore my plane has indeed struggled to fly. Therefore, I'd recommend choosing a wind-free day to test out your plane for the first time. Nevertheless, battling against the wind is simply a part of flying aircrafts, and no way does it make flying less entertaining. With a 3-channel plane, you can perform some simple maneuvering techniques. The famous of it all is the loop. It looks quite fascinating and it's quite easy to do. You simply pull back the right stick all the way down, pulling up the elevator, and that's how you perform a simple loop. This trainer plane is designed to be slow flying, and hence making it quite feasible and ideal for beginners to fly. The build process for this plane is considerably easy. You just have to invest some hours behind it to get a top-notch outcome. It is very likely that you're gonna crash multiple times before you really get to fly an airplane, and so don't feel devastated if you crash. It is only going to help you to find out where to target to get a successful next flight. If you are a complete beginner who has never attempted to make an RC plane before, or if you simply never had a successful flight, this project is a must-try. It all comes down to the last stage when you finally get your little queen up in the air. It is so rewarding. I had an amazing time with the build as well as the flying. I really appreciate you guys sticking along with me throughout this RC journey. If you have any questions, please post them out in the comments and I'll be more than happy to respond. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. It really motivates me to keep pushing forward and keep producing these type of content all for you. Thank you all so much for watching and I'll see you in the next video.